Welcome everyone to our Small But Massive podcast. Today's guest is Paddy Nash.
Hello,
Workshop
Paddy.
facilitator, songwriter, composer, filmmaker, and an all-round good lad. And if anything I left out there, I'll zoom back in later on. You're most welcome, Paddy. And I don't want to be shouting too loud across the floor to you. It's because it's Sunday evening.
Oh yeah, so it's like we're going for that kind of laid back vibe.
I was actually going to go for business casual,
right,
but I couldn't find a shirt to go under black because I only have black.
You know, I don't think I've ever seen you wearing a shirt.
I wore a shirt. I wore a suit one time, Paddy.
Did you? At your wedding?
Yeah, well, I didn't even wear a tie to that, so I didn't. But here, you're welcome, Paddy. And as I say, and looking very smart, I should say.
Thanks very much.
You know, you just need to take a pose like that there, and you have it rock. Could you take a wee pose for me there with the shirt? That's it there, just a wee. See that one there? That's it.
Oh, hold on a second. It's on my ear.
Yeah, right there. Oh. Holy God Almighty! What is that? It's as if your eardrum just popped out.
Sorry about that.
I got the
COVID vaccine.
I was hoping that wasn't a pacemaker going flying up through your body and come out your ear. But just for the people out there, a weird red thing popped out of Paddy's ear there and it shot down into his throat and the back out. So they're not sure if it's a pacemaker or not, but he's too young to have a pacemaker. All right. So Paddy, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I've known you many times, and you're, as I say, over the years, you're a great fella. Paddy, you were born in the Craigan.
Yes.
And you had to a family of 10
Family
people.
10. Well, I was actually, I was born in an ambulance in Spencer Road, the back of an ambulance in Spencer Road, and I was.
You couldn't wait to come out.
10th child, and I was born in the middle of a riot, and the ambulance had to stop. They pick up this older man who was injured in a riot, so it was me, my man, and him, and all he had was an old torn tricolour in his pocket, and that's what I was wrapped in when they brought me into the hospital.
You were like, the monster just wrapped the flag.
Tricolour. My mum just lifted me up, and she got into the casualty and turned her heels. She said, "This is my 10th wean. Can I not just go home?" And I went, "If you want." And so she went then. So there you go.
So your first entrance into this world was a magical one.
Yes.
There was a wee
Phoenix
bit
from the flames.
Just Phoenix from the flames rising out. And did your mother say at that time, "I shall call you Patrick," or what? Did it just come? Or
probably. I don't know. They always said to me I was called Patrick after the Provident man. Paddy MacGyver. There was a week my ma couldn't pay it.
Oh Jesus! So
that's what I got when I was growing up.
So it was a debt cleared up by a good name, and you got that name, and it was a good name. So look, when you're brought up, so you're back in the day, I suppose, like the age you are, you're born just right at the start of when everything was going crazy in Derry, and being young, growing up then with a family of 10, you say. Yeah. Was that all brothers or sisters or a mixture?
I can never remember if it's 5 brothers and 4 sisters or 4 sisters and 5 brothers. It's 5 brothers and 4 sisters.
Was it just like flat out? Or it's just
it was
2 years between each one?
Well, my dad worked a lot in England, and he would come back. My mum would get pregnant, and then they'd head away again. So there was like a year between the first 5, and then there was a gap of 3 years. So there was nothing going on for 3 years, and then there was
no curtain in 3 years. There was a ban.
Don't know what
happened. Was there a ban on?
I don't know what happened in 3 years.
There was no room. There was 100 Junes running around the house. You couldn't get peace, probably. You know.
Aye, but it was just mayhem growing up. Like it was good crack.
Aye, and I suppose I know I went to school with a fella, and they had a family of 16. And it was like the oldest one had left as the youngest one was born, because I remember his oldest brother running a garage, and he was just starting into school, and he was saying how, and if you knew, they lived way up in the back end of nowhere, but it was a case of the brother above or the sister below it. Did that happen in your house when you get close? I'm a family of 5 brothers. I'm stuck in the middle. So I suppose I'm like a springboard for both and things, but you would always look out for the youngest one. So did you get any wee favours being young and all?
Well,
the one elusive cream egg arriving, you know?
No.
That's where we Paddies.
It was actually the opposite for me, because I was the youngest and I was spoiled. My ma spoiled me. So it was, I think all my brothers and sisters were kind of envious of that, like, of me being the golden child.
Were you the youngest and you got everything?
You know what I mean? So I was.
The others just got toast. and some got toast and a wee bit of butter. You got toast, butter, and marmalade or jam. You got the whole thing.
If I wanted it, my ma would have got it for me.
So what was the kind of growing up back in the day then in Derry City like for someone as you, like, because you started playing guitar at 15, is that right?
Yeah.
And were you doing gigs at the start? Because I read somewhere you were doing like gigs and you were only getting like, say, was it £30 a gig? And was that when you were younger, or did you?
First time I ever seen a guitar, there was always music in our house, right? My dad played the accordion, and when I say he played the accordion, he played one song. He had one song, that's all he had. And it was like, forever and ever, or something like that, one of them tunes. But
Is that the kind of tune you go look at there?
That's a wee sway one.
That's good,
But we had an organ, always had an organ. And I remember I was able to pick out tunes in the organ when I was a ween. And then our Jimmy was friends with the Moondogs.
The band, yeah.
The band, the Moondogs. And he landed home one time with a one-string bass, a bass guitar with one string on it. And he put it straight into his wardrobe and locked it. So, but I remember he was out, and just remember going in and lifting out the one-string bass and then I realised if you actually kept the head under the wardrobe, you get that kind of application kind of
So you
sound.
plugged around. It was your first amp?
It was the first amp.
The first
time, and I picked out the notes of Since You've Been Gone, Rainbow.
Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding.
And I was like,
Deadly tune,
and then I realised it was the same four notes as Alternative Ulster. No, that'll be. And I was fascinated by it. And then there was a boy in our street called Eddie Doherty. He played in the folk Long Tower folk, or it was either Craigan Folk Choir or the Long Tower, and he had a wee nylon string classical, and he used to take it out every now and again and just sing kind of if a picture paints 1,000 words, why can't I paint you? All them out stupid songs. But every now and again,
but ballads.
Every now and again, he would give me a go on it, and I would just try and pick out wee tunes on it, like. And finally, I kind of thought to myself, because I was never no good at anything. I was never no good at boxing. Like, even though, like, my cousin was Charlie Nash, like a European.
He was
champion.
a very famous boxer.
Know what I mean? And
brought a lot of spotlight for sport in the city.
big style, and
yeah.
Like my dad sent us all boxing. Like, I said, right, must be a boxer in one of these boys. And I was like, so, no, definitely not. And then
was it the wee white vest days then, Paddy?
That was that.
And the black hoodies.
Aye, for definitely.
See if you had fancy ones with even laces. You were posh. I know what you're on about here. Yeah.
But then, and I got pretty good at football, but I worked hard at it. Like,
yeah.
But whenever I went to try it for a team, I was rubbish for some reason. But it was good, like kind of just playing on the street and that kind of way.
Yeah.
But I got this real buzz for the guitar. I just kind of fell in love with it. I kind of thought,
because that was your thing. That was your thing. You know.
So we had a rich auntie in Wales, and she used to give family loans, and you paid her back 10% more. Was
your aunt like a credit union?
Yeah. Well, she's more like a loan shark.
So she was your sort of, did you send her what scones and all? You know, could you pay her off of fudge bread? Could you pay her off of Doherty's baps or things like that? No.
My dad got me 50 quid off her and had to pay her back £60.
Oh my God!
And it just started the workshop.
Is that like the
Derry
YDP?
Workshop, Derry Youth and Community Workshop.
Which would have been the YDP sort of.
Yeah.
See, I know, I understand.
So I was getting whatever it was, £12 a week or whatever it was. So I said to him, £5 a week. And I remember my dad saying to me, there's no way if I give you £50 you're going to go and buy a guitar. I said, I'm going to buy a guitar. And then he got the 50 quid and went down to Henderson's and I bought a wee Honor guitar. And it was 50 quid exactly.
Deadly.
And I was just that was that. Like, was
that your first guitar? Did you
first
keep
guitar.
it?
Yep. Yeah, but it's actually in my sister's house now. It's in her attic.
Deadly. So. And so then when you going back into your house, like and I know I read that your father was into Johnny Cash.
Yep.
Yeah, and did that influence you any, by and having so many different siblings, the way some might listen to folk and pop and rock and, because if everybody's growing up and they have their time and their generation, they're going to come into a certain style of music. Aye. Whereas if you having such a big family, you might have been getting your ears into different tunes.
I was force-fed everything.
Yeah.
like two of my brothers are big into punk, the Ramones, the Undertones. Our Peter, massive heavy metal, heavy rock fan, like Thin Lizzy, Rory Gallagher. And then my sisters were on the ABBA and Bagatelle and REO Speedway. You know what I mean?
I can't get this feeling anymore.
And then my dad was Hank Williams and Johnny Cash. And I remember, so by the time I got a guitar, I was kind of going down that road of rock music. I wanted to be a kind of rock guitar player. And I remember my dad saying to me, he was like, what are you learning that old rubbish for there? He said, that's not what the people want to hear. The people want to hear Johnny Cash, they want to hear Hank Williams. And then I remember saying to him, but I'm thinking about when I write my own songs, like, nobody wants to hear that. People want to hear Hank Williams. Johnny. So he wasn't a great man for affirmation. But in saying that.
But that was of a time. They knew that. They looked up to all these big artists.
See, I didn't want to listen to that music. Then, like, you know what I mean, 15, because I didn't. It was old people's music.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't until I suppose I heard Christy Moore, and I thought, I want to be able to play a guitar like him. So
it's all about the song.
Yeah, and just that big strum that he had, you know, that kind of power. So and so that's how I learned how to strum. But just listening to Christy Moore.
And so that would have been
1985, Ordinary Man.
Yeah, and so when you were listening to that, so did you decide then, right, I can go out and do a few tunes and I can do this, or did you just do local places, or did you go into a pub and take it on, or? It
was mostly just, you know, we used to go down, there was a place called the Resi, make it down there on a Friday and Saturday night, everybody in the street and other streets, and have a few cans of beer, light a fire, and just kind of singing around the fire, like, and I remember just learning new songs, just they sing at the weekend, out the Resi around the fire, and that's I suppose how I cut my teeth and learning, and then I was obsessed with the Beatles at one stage then, and I remember there was a friend from school, he was big into the Beatles too, Danny McGill, and me and him used to sit in his kitchen, and he had an old tip player, but it played slow, so you had to tune the guitar to and we'd be trying to learn these Beatles because we no books or anything.
No.
We're just trying to learn these riffs from the Beatles.
Because there's no access then, friend, to like there is now that young people can just hit a song and find the words and find so many different ways to play it. Back then, your ear was stuck, and obviously sometimes in some of them old albums there were pitch twos, you know, and then that even threw you even more.
Exactly.
You know, so and what about the likes of then for you, the first single you bought was Elvis.
Yep.
Yeah, and was it which was it?
Way Down.
Way Down.
We on down.
Waterloo. No. That's right.
No,
Wrong song.
I got a. It was 1977.
Yeah.
I got a.
How much was it? Tell the good people out there.
I don't know how much it was, but I remember getting a record player that folded up on the like a wee suitcase. We put on and the
wee speaker that sort of looked through the corner.
And the album, and I got an album. There was an album along with it, and it was Blue Christmas. It was Elvis, Blue Christmas, and a
song you do. When you come around here and when you go down, Diane and yourself
Best
down
Christmas
to the fold,
song.
you're singing on that. That's one of them songs that everybody knows.
I have a blue Christmas without you.
I seen tears around us that day. You know, it was very emotional. And so going back,
at Way Down, I bought the single, right, and I remember it was the first time I ever kind of was able to differentiate drums from guitars, and
you started to hear
because I listened to it that much. I was just, I kind of knew every single part that was on the song, and I started to kind of break it down in my head. And I suppose that's when I really fell in love with music, was through that song.
It's funny. It's a recurrent thing that you'll find that people, even other musicians like yourself, have been chatting to. It's that sort of moment of getting a song and then realizing how it's put together and looking back then, which is the really important thing, as you know, Paddy, they hadn't many chances of doing it over and over and over again. So they were tight bands, and Elvis's band was a fantastic band. So when you came from that, when did you start writing your own music? Because I know that you, going back right back to the early days with like the whole tribe singers
Yeah.
and all that there. How did that come up? I know that you met, for the people out there, Decky McLaughlin,
Yeah.
another songwriter at the time. And I remember, I don't even know, I could have been up around the Nerve Centre myself at that time, but I mean, the first time I came met
Well, it was a
yourself.
musicians collective back then.
Yeah.
And the first band we had was we were a band called Mrs. Mangle, after the old Neighbours character. And we were playing 50s and 60s songs. It was weird because we were just a weird bunch. We weren't kind of like playing metal or playing punk or whatever.
Yeah.
We were playing the Happy Happy Shake and kind of
Yeah.
shaking all over. And I remember, I didn't know him back then, but I remember they were putting on the Northwest Musicians Collective were putting on a gig in the Union Hall. And they were looking for bands.
Down the bottom Magazine Street?
Shippy Street.
Shippy Street.
I think it was Shippy Street.
Aye.
And I remember, I think it was like between the behind the walls there. But and I remember saying it was Numb, but I didn't know him then. But it was Numb. I remember saying to him, "Can we play the Union Hall this gig?" He said, "I'll come down and listen to these." Right. So we were.
Was he the agent? Was he the big promoter?
For goodness sake, I got the hippie shake. And he came on, he stood with his arms folded like that.
No way.
And then he went like that. And we stopped playing. He was all, "Nah, no chance." Yeah, he says, "Our crowd will eat yous alive." You know what I mean?
What were they, like a Grateful Dead coming back? Coming back and someone fucking dead me.
So we never got to play a gig, but we practiced a lot. And then it was after that that I started writing. I started writing songs. The first song I ever wrote was this anti-war song called Forgotten Heroes or something. It was rubbish. Like,
but what was on your mind that time? What was going on in the world that made you think?
No,
was it because of where you grew up and what your perception?
No, it was about this. It was a World War II song. It was rubbish. And then I kind of thought, no, I'm definitely not a songwriter. And then I started writing wee funny songs just about my family and about my friends and stuff like that. And they seemed to get a laugh. And then I thought, well, that's that whole thing. Write about what you know. And it was around about that time I discovered Eamon Frill's music. And here he was singing.
For people just listening, Eamon Friel was a songwriter from Derry City.
Yeah. Well, see, in the Derry workshop, there was two people. Eamon Tolan was the music tutor, and Liam Nillis was the literacy, and they were next door to each other. And I remember Liam Nillis used to make me tips of it was amazing. McCanley, Bothy band, they were really good music and good singers, and then some African music and stuff like that. He'd say, listen to as much as you can. And then Eamon would have taught me. So I always Liam taught me how to listen to music, and Eamon taught me how to really play music. And Eamon Tolan was a big fan of Eamon Friel. And so Eamon Friel was when I was 16 at this stage, he was like an enigma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'd never met him, but here he was, this vinyl, he had this album, and his songs, he was singing in his Derry accent, and his songs were about local things, people, big bog side calypso.
And that sort of nearly brings you to where you are today, Paddy, in the way.
Right, about what you know, that was that whole thing. Like.
But going back to the early song, the war song, yourself and Diane are great advocates for social change for people and for communities and for the rights of communities and for the right of people having their rights, not stubbed on.
Yeah.
And has that something that sort of from your early songwriting, has it something sort of it seems to just come along with you, or how did you get involved? Was that something in Derry? Did you just see what was going on and you just sort of thought, well, look, there's another way, and that I suppose. Like Eamon McCann and people like that, they were saying different things and trying a different way. Is that something attracted you when you were younger, or did that come later on? Or
no, well, when we started the Bunlads, it was the Screaming Bunlads, me and Decky, and we had done a lot of benefit gigs for McCann. Now I was 21 then, politics wasn't really a thing that I was really interested in.
You were just interested in music, and
I'm interested in music, and just that whole thing. If you write about what you know, then you're inadvertently writing songs that can be relatable to people that have been through probably the same thing that you've been through, or whoever you're writing about. But it wasn't until I started actually travelling about and just meeting people from different backgrounds, different cultures, and
You opened up your
different points of
mind
view.
to the world, and that's a
I was-
good way to do it.
And I've always kind of been like that. I've always kind of been open
Yeah.
and curious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've never, and I suppose that's how I formed my own kind of identity in politics, and maybe questioning myself, where do I really stand on these issues? How do I really feel like? And then once establishing that, then, well, I suppose it's up to me to kind of, this is what I do, this is my craft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I could start writing songs about it.
Yeah, you transported
You know what I
it. You transported it in. Well, the whole tribe sings. Like I seen you in Derry performing, and I remember at the time hearing about you going out to America, and like I was thinking, this is deadly, you know, because I suppose you think back then there wasn't many people, getting on a plane that wasn't signed at the time to go out to America, and that was you and Decky's songwriting again, and then the song "Happy" came out, so you want to tell, I suppose, the people out there sort of how did the whole tribe start, and how did you end up in America, and you got signed, and you done a small tour.
Well, we morphed from the Bunlads and the whole tribe sings.
The Screaming Bunlads.
The Screaming Bunlads.
Aye,
So the Screaming Bunlads would start off as a two-piece, and then Decky's dad would have played bass, and then we had Sarah playing cello, and then Dougal came on, and Dougal was playing acoustic, and then we started getting we got a drummer, and we got a bass player, and we started getting a wee bit more kind of rocky, and I started playing actually electric guitar. And we at one stage we were like flat out, kind of real just punk.
Aye.
And then
Which it was sort of like nearly like a folk rock sort of full on Pogue style sort of thing.
No, it wasn't even that. It was more kind of just straight four punk, like.
Aye.
You know what I mean? And
Aye.
there was a bit of kind of ska kind of coming through.
Yeah.
But then when we got Tomas on the trumpet.
Yeah.
It kind of mellowed everything out, and I went back to the acoustic guitar, and we kind of thought, right, change our name. I never liked the name, the whole tribe sings. But we stuck with it, we went with it.
It's a catchy name, isn't it? That stuck with people, it's catchy.
I like it now.
Yeah.
I actually like the name now. I didn't like it back then. But it stuck, and Happy was a song that was written for Diane.
There we go.
When we were kind of just starting out. And I remember writing it and thinking, this could be a good song. This could be a good song. And then taking it to the band, and it's sounding really good, really well, and everybody happy with it. And then there was like a battle of the bands thing in Dublin, and Decky said, "Well, we'll do a battle of bands. We're going for it." So we went and played, and it was hilarious because we had to get there at 12 o'clock in the day, and then we didn't. There was sound checks and all that kind of stuff, and we didn't get home later on that night. But we get the phone call the next day that we had won the Battle of the Bands, and could be come back to Dublin. So we went down to Dublin, and we were in Bono's hotel.
Aye, I stayed there one time, Paddy. The one just at the key. You think it's going to be the greatest ever, but it's all right.
And this boy came up to us, and he was, I think
was Bono there? Sorry,
no, Bono wasn't there.
But they had you.
I met somebody famous there. Jim Sheridan, I think I met Jim Sheridan.
There you go.
I think so. But Guinness, or some rep from Guinness, and they were launching Harp Lager in America, and they said, "See that song you sang yesterday, the Happy song? We want to use that in our
Guinness Lager
and our ad. No, Harp. They owned Harp.
Oh, they owned Harp. They
were launching Harp in America, and they says, so it's going to go on an ad. It's going to be played all throughout America, every radio station. Like, this is going to be huge, and they're going to give us 7,000 punts.
That was a good bit of cash in them days.
So we took the 7,000 punts. We used it. We thought to ourselves, right, if this song's going to be on the radio over America, surely we need to go to America
with all the Irish connection out there.
You know what I mean, and go out and we'll become famous rock stars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And tell the people how it went then.
Then the opposite happened. But then it's just bad decisions, bad management, and everything just kind of.
But for you, would it not have been, taking that all aside, was it not exciting going out at that time to go to America and play, because would that have been your first time going out to America to do a gig?
Oh, aye.
So the excitement of that there was there. And I suppose you were probably thinking, well, this is going to be played everywhere in the States, so people are going to be mad to come and see us. And maybe it was a case of just that experience was that experience. And then when you came back home after that, you sort of had a wee sabbatical from music.
Yeah, I left the band. I was come back home in debt and danger, and left the band and got a job in Extravision.
Yeah,
and just put the guitar down, Paddy, and never lifted it for a good few years.
And so, I mean, I remember at that time, Diane had a course going, a contemporary course through the Workers' Education Company.
2006.
Fortunately, they're not there anymore, but there was, I remember myself, yourself, Marty McGill was on, and Liam, and
Dee Moore was teaching it.
Yeah, Dee was on it, and we had to get together and do a showcase. I think I got Travelling Wilburys, Roy Orbison. Anything at all you got, and which for me at the time was great to be out playing again, because I had missed playing, and I was out, and the course I felt was good for meeting new people, and and being able to try things with other musicians, even though they were cover songs. I think everybody at that time had their own reasons for being in that course, and I think it's like a lot of courses. Sometimes you go on them and it's you just see what it is, but then when it's done and you come out the back of it, it gives a different sort of a look on the course. And after that, there, you then.
Well, that course, I didn't want to do the course, because I was at a stage in my life where music was a thing of the past. I didn't really lift the guitar, and then I think it was after the first day, Diane came back and she was buzzing. She was like, she said, oh, for God's sake, you want to see there's that Paddy Glasgow's on it, Liam's on it, Paddy Glasgow's a hoot lick, and Dee and Marty McGill. He said, Paddy, you'll love it, just come to the next one, And then I went, and and that was, it kind of kick-started everything again for me.
Yeah.
And I remember, and that year then you asked me to come up and play Glasgowbury, and it was Glasgowbury was the key that opened the door for the rest of my career until now. Like.
Oh, respect for that, and just thinking about that time, it was a great course. There was a great camaraderie,
and it was a great concert as well. We put on at the end.
We all gigged in there, and we done our bit. Everybody was singing together and had to sort of do harmonies and all. It was all part of get the wee tick in the box.
Oh, exactly. That's right. Did you fill in your forms?
No. Well, I am naturally dyslexic, and I've a pair of sheets in front of me here, and I haven't looked at any of them yet.
Dan's still waiting for them.
And they're all going, would you look at the sheets? Look at the sheets.
Dan, do we get the certificate?
No, Dan, I filled that all on myself. One time, when I done my other course in the Nerve Centre, Marty McGill kind of showed me my mind way of getting through the course, right? And I got through it, But going back, when you were in the States there, obviously you would have had some good stories as well as, the imploding ones. Was there ones that you remember that were good for you, in the experience?
Well, when we were playing, when we were gigging, that was where the fun was, like, because ultimately you just want to go out and play music, and you want to hopefully play to a new audience and try and build that kind of fan base. But the problem is the manager was booking us on the Irish bars, and we weren't an Irish band.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we were like a pop rock kind of ska funk kind of band.
You needed in front of a venue that was a venue for a venue's sake,
just a proper music venue.
Yeah.
And when we did get them gigs, they went down the best.
Yeah.
And we got a few residencies here and there and around kind of Connecticut and New York and stuff like that. And some of them gigs were brilliant, like, and some of the Irish bar gigs were brilliant as well. Like,
yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but there should have been, if there had been more of that. There was a lot of time where we weren't gigging at all. We were stuck in this house, right?
Yeah.
In Hartford, Connecticut, and there was literally a motorway kind of running alongside it. You couldn't walk anywhere. So if you hadn't got, it was like an open prison. If you hadn't got a car or a van, you couldn't go anywhere. So somebody out in the van, you were snookered. And then a lot of the time then we would spend maybe rehearsing down in the basement. But when boredom when boredom sets in, like, and there's a fridge full of beer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What goes out?
You know, so it's like, what do you do? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. It just needed to be planned better.
yeah,
And
that's it. Better
you seen
management.
it, yeah. And like,
Because the thing about it is, like, it was great, it's going to be brilliant. But I think ultimately what we were all looking for was just to have a job and playing music, to earn a living, playing music, writing songs, recording songs, and that was as far as me anyway. That's as far as the dream went. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Just to get enough to get by.
Just to get enough to get by, to
Yeah.
keep you going to the next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you were just saying there, like, being in the underground of a basement or whatever, that was a bit like a prison. You actually are part of a project. You've been doing a good few years now. Where you go into prisons, Paddy.
Aye,
and
on McGilligan.
Yeah, and you help individuals through the art of songwriting and music. Do you want to talk a wee bit about that for the people out there listening? You know, what it's about and what's the outcomes?
It's through the Prison Arts Foundation, and I'm the musician in residence. It's a fancy title, like, for
It's good.
McGilligan.
It's good, like.
But
It'll open doors, you know, that title I got.
and the thing about it is, I do everything in there. From, if you want to learn a few chords on the guitar, if you've never played the guitar before, I'll teach you a few chords on the guitar. Maybe you know the guitar, but you don't know how to write songs. You want to write songs, I'll try my best to help you there. Or some people are just good singers, and then maybe show them some microphone techniques and kind of wee tricks like that. So it's just kind of cater to what that student is looking for. And if it's I have had people going through my class never left a guitar before, and then by the time a year was up, not only were they playing and singing, they were writing their own songs and then recording their own songs. Do you know what I mean?
So because that is a fantastic form of expression there for people that maybe, I suppose, made mistakes. You're getting them to try and make it right and try and come into society again. And like, I think the words of them type of songs would be very powerful. Is there like, I don't want to put you in the spot, is there an individual or a moment that someone wrote a tune, or you helped them write a tune that you thought, you know, this is what it's all about?
There's been a few, and what I tend to do is subtly kind of introduce the politics of of caring, of kind of looking out for each other. And one of my students,
it's a human thing you're reaching for,
and introduce the music of John Prine and Springsteen, and so they're not listening to Ed Sheeran all the time. Just I listen to Ed Sheeran, he's great, but try John Prine as well. So that kind of, and then there was one of my students one time, and he wrote this song about Standing Rock. It was the time of the whole protest with a pipeline going through the reservation. And he wrote this song, and it was completely out of the blue, because when he came on to me, he was like, kind of, I didn't care about anything. Like, cared,
and that's just the front. Wasn't that the front at the start?
He was reading this thing about Standing Rock, about the pipeline going through, and he wrote this beautiful song. And I just remember taking this moment and kind of thinking, I helped to kind of do that, like. You know what I mean? And just kind of owned it for a wee second, and kind of just we pat in the back.
No, but that's showing that the work you're doing is having positive impact. And I think that work like that should be supported more. Do you find that there's enough access for people out there that need? Because that's not the only. You would also do other programs, and you're with people with different needs, and you're working with them and all different sort of scenarios, and you seem to really enjoy that, and you're fit to come down and get a tune going, like you were down with the I Am guys. And like you're saying about the individuals you worked with, and earlier on there, that they were the same, like none of them had sang before, and when they came in the course, like they wouldn't even hardly spoke to you, Paddy. But yet at the end on the show day, they were speaking to funders, and they were looking out at them, and you could see that that extended sort of learning with individuals like yourself, and as it kind of, and Deanne too was down on it with the guys, and sort of portraying that real positive, because at the end of the day, when you see people that are withdrawn and they start to bloom and trust you, like, and start writing and what they're writing about. I think it's a positive thing.
Oh,
you know?
and sometimes you just need somebody there to give you a wee bit of affirmation. You know what I mean? And somebody there that's kind of says, "Aye, that's really good there.
Yeah.
Did you do that?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if your confidence is low, and the chances are, somebody has told you in your life that you can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You can't sing.
Yeah, and that could be.
Or you're stupid.
That could be the biggest.
You know what I mean?
That could be the heaviest lump of concrete on anybody's shoulders for a lifetime if it's not changed.
Aye.
And that wee interception you're saying about is so important.
That's it. And what you do, what I try and do anyway, is Michael J. Fox once says that if our kids don't learn the way we teach, then maybe we should teach the way they learn. And I've always kind of held that in the back of my head. No matter what scenario I'm in, I'll find out what works for you. I'm not gonna just go, I do it like this, and this is the way it's done. This is the way you write a song. No, I'll work around you.
Yeah.
How would you go about it?
Yeah, that's,
and I think that's the best way they just go about the work I do anyway.
Yeah.
Is kind of cater for all different types of people and at all different levels and their musicianship or whatever, like
abilities.
Through the work I do in Shindan or even the work I do in the hot house with the kids, like.
Yeah, and do you find that very rewarding being out there? Because it's like to be able to go out there and perform and then go out there and help on the next generation via workshops and things like that is a real strong thing. You've been doing that for a few years. Do you find the experience with other places you are and then you go into the hot house that you can kind of understand? Because I suppose what I'm saying there's so many different young people out there and the different sort of behaviours as such as going on. And I think it's brilliant going in among it. I'd probably be fired on among myself, and to try and get the best out of individuals, and you're good at that.
Yeah,
so,
and you're like me. It's bringing that kind of positive energy. People will say to you, like a young person will meet you, and they'll probably maybe chat to their friends, your man's mad, and but no, they'll be saying it in a good way. Like they'll be like, no, he's mad. Don't go near him. He's mad. Are you going back tomorrow? Know what I mean?
Yeah, it works.
It works. And that's that positive energy.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, it's about having fun. Yeah. Having a bit of crack.
And that could be any art form, Paddy.
Yeah.
It could be anyone,
exactly.
And it could be the likes of music, it could be acting, it could be anything, it could be behind the scenes, and that's a thing too, I think. Going back earlier on, your latest single is called Rapture.
Rapture song,
Yeah, Rapture song, and that's about Diane as well. You and Diane.
That was a wee birthday present for 1 year.
I think, and that's a very there must have been tears. Was there tears? Was it?
I don't know. I think there was.
There was. I think there was. I'm feeling them anyway. I'm picking. If I had a third eye, was like a bit red thing came out of your tongue earlier on there.
It just poured from my heart onto the page.
Tell the people out there. I know that I was listening. You were out plugging away the PR on it and radio and different things. And there's a very interesting story to how it all came about. Do you want to tell the good people out there
when I recorded a demo and I put it up for her for Dan for her birthday, and people said, that's really nice, whatever, da. And then so I had this dream. I was over at the Americana UK conference in London and Hackney, and I remember in the dream I went into this bar with Billy Bragg and Ralph McLean, and I went to the jukebox. Ralph went to get the beers. Billy grabbed the seats. And I remember I put the money in, and I had only enough for one song, and I put on Thunder Road, which is, in my opinion, the greatest song ever written. And we sat down in the corner, and Ralph was, good choice, and Billy was, good choice. It was just a really vivid dream. And then the door opened, and out of this light came Bruce Springsteen. And he nodded at me, and he was all, good choice. And I was all, it's the best song I've ever written. and then he goes up to me in the dream right on the face, and he goes, tell me this, why have you never released Rapture song as a single? And I was like, that was just a wee birthday present. He says, get it out. And I was like, full E Street? And he says, full E Street. And I woke up, and I said to Diane, I know what my new single's going to be. And she's sharp as a pin, says, so do I, Rapture song.
Did Diane dream at the same time?
I was thinking, did you the same dream as me?
You do that? You know what? You're that long together, you're telepathic.
She says, and I says, how do you know that? She says, I've thought that for ages. Like,
Brilliant.
Did you bring that song as a single?
And
We did it Foley Street.
and so you're a massive fan of Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
And the likes of Christy Moore and Creedence and all too.
Oh, aye.
And the old Co.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool. That was
The early Co.
the first band that I
Love
really
seems to pass me
bought a
by.
T-shirt was Status Quo.
Oh, deadly.
So I was a big Quo fan. Like.
Big Co. What's your favourite Co song?
Do you see, it depends. Like,
If you were steaming and then if you were sober. There's two.
there's a song called Someone Show Me Home. And it's off If You Can't Stand the Heat, that album. And it's the first time they introduced Hammond organ into their songs. And I think he stayed, Andy, I can't remember his name, but I love that. But it has to be Down Down. You've put a gun to my head, Down Down. It's like, it's one of them songs. See if you're at a wedding or you're at a whatever dance, a Down Down comes on, you're on the floor, like, aren't you, straight away?
When we done our open air disco together, remember?
Oh, aye, Down Down.
We put that on. I know we got luck.
I'm moving. I want to dance now. That's a tune.
I'm not allowed to stand up in here, Paddy, but I'm standing now anyway.
But even the intro, see that the long version, the intro is just phenomenal. So, and people, the thing about Status Quo is, they always say it's just a 3-chord trick.
They're catchy.
That's rubbish. Some of the quotes. I remember trying to learn quo songs, and there's there's definitely maybe 16, 17 different chords on it. They never do 3 chords. Living on an Island's another great old track. Love that.
Darren Dula, I'd like that there. Anyone. Well, so then when you come up to Glasgowbury, there was yourself and Diane and Liam. Is that right? And so then you. At that stage, you done a few gigs out and about.
Yeah, we call ourselves Stone Soup. Stone Soup. Do you ever hear the story of Stone Soup?
No.
You never heard that story?
No.
There's these 2 soldiers, right? And they're at some war somewhere, and they're lost, and they're kind of hungry, and they come across this village, right? And they knock at the doors, and nobody's got any food, right? So in the last house, they ask for a pot of water, and the woman gives them a pot of water. So they put a stone on the water and light a fire, and they start boiling it. And then so somebody goes out and goes, "What are you doing there?" So we're making stone soup. And they go, "Oh, no, that looks rubbish. Like I might have an onion." So somebody gives them an onion. Then somebody else comes along and says, "I have a carrot."
It's like a wee add-on.
Somebody says, "I have a potato." Then the next thing you know, it's they've got a
whole village can come.
They've got a big pot of soup, wholesome soup that everybody in the village can share.
How did it just ring a bell?
Stone soup. So and it's that whole thing of everybody puts on a little, and everybody gets out a lot. So I always loved that. Be kind of
you get a little
Stone Soup. And so I thought that'd be a great name for a band, but apparently there's about $300 bands called Stone Soup.
Or Soup of the Stone. Or the Stone of the Sips. We're slightly different. We're the Stone of the Sips.
We are Stone Soup.
We are Stone of the Sips. We're from Los Angeles. We're a rock band. So how did you get then everybody else... how did everybody else come around then? Because all the other members, and what stage did you decide? Because you were singing your own songs at that stage.
And, I started writing again. That was our thing from Glasgowbury and from that course and from playing Glasgowbury, and just started. Had the guitar back, had the bug back, and I started writing again, and enough songs then for an album. And
Paddy, Nash, and Happy Enchilada.
Well, I didn't really have a name at this stage, or. Johnny Nupp was kind of playing a bit of bass. Wally was doing some drums here and there. And we had Liam and Diane, and they were the kind of staples. And then I phoned Rory Donaghy. They booked the Blast Furnace, and he just says, "I've been waiting for this phone call." I just went, "Well, it's Paddy here," and he goes, "I've been waiting for this phone call." This is what he means. He says, "I've been waiting for this phone call."
Did you come to him in a dream? Did you come to the man in a dream? I think you do. I think you come to people in dreams now.
I said, "What do you mean you're waiting for a phone call?" He says, "I've been waiting for this phone call for 15 years.
15 years?
He says, "I knew that you were going to come into the Last Furnace at some stage." So we went on, and in that we got it couple of different kind of guest players, but from the first recording the first album, the Enchiladas, kind of the Happy Enchilada started to kind of come together, and then I suppose it wasn't until the second album that we were really kind of established as a band. Like at one stage we had Tracy McGrory playing fiddle and Junior Johnson playing Hammond. There was 9 of us, and it kind of went down to 7 and kind of stayed like that then.
Yeah, and then, but when you went over to, when your first album, you went to the UK for a tour, yeah, with the band.
Yeah,
and,
the next year, the following year, 2011.
And, how did that all go, or how did that come about, or did Diane plan it, or was it just strangers in the night, or what was it? Some agent pop out of a hedge and say, "Let's do it."
That was the one thing, right? I always says, and I says it to Diane, and when I get back on the music, right? I says, if I'm going to do this, right, then I'm going to be my own agent. I'm going to be my own manager. I'm my own booker. That's it. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust middlemen in music anymore. I don't do it. So just from experience, and I thought, right, and if I don't get picked, if I don't get bookings, then so well be it. Like, so the tour came about. We get booked to play the Toll Puddle Murders Festival, and then we basically got in touch with loads of Billy Bragg fans. After the Billy Bragg jeans thing, like we had loads of kind of people. We made loads of contacts.
Had you met Billy Bragg before that, or before the song came out, or had you known him, or?
No, it was just a fan. Like, and the song was literally about an old pair of jeans that I bought in a House of Value. You know, them jeans that are just comfortable.
Yeah.
You kind of look at you. You've got these nice jeans, whatever. Just put them on. And I called them Billy Bragg jeans because.
And did you buy these jeans when you were younger?
We had them for years, but they were. I called them my Billy Bragg jeans because
are these famous jeans that you sort of.
he was on a. He says he can't remember, but he was on a BBC Two documentary, and he was going on tour, and he was going to tour on a bus. But he was saying about what he had on him, and he says the jeans were $5 from an army surplus store. And that's what my jeans were $5 in an army surplus store. So that's why they were called. Where's my Billy Bragg jeans? She used to hide them.
So you had them for a long time.
These are Billy Bragg jeans.
So,
and that's what the song was about. Just again, another song about me and Diane, but it was about the when you get them good jeans on you, or a good pair of comfortable jeans, you feel good about yourself.
You're alive.
You're alive,
and
you're going out. So you're heading to Sandino's, you're heading to Cellar Bar, got my Billy Bragg jeans on.
Get them on you, people.
Exactly.
We should do now, hashtag people out there. Paddy has an online range of clothing. Hold on. So, ad break. Paddy's online clothing range. Paddy, could you tell the people out there what have we got? We've got jeans.
We've got Billy Bragg jeans.
We've got Billy Bragg jeans. We've got them in different colours, good people. What colours have we got them in, Paddy?
We've got them in communist red.
Burgundy. Apple green.
Sky blue.
And your favourite, red and blue together. And we've actually got ones with 2 different coloured legs. But for anybody out there, just go on Paddy Nash clothing range.eu. So Paddy, so then from there, people started to pick up on you, around when you put the album out. And I'm sure that gave you, a newfound confidence, because there's nothing harder than having to release something just out to the big bad world, you know what I mean, and doing it yourself. And Diane, because I know you've put a lot of effort in.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, was about being self-releasing in 2010, put it out on our own, create our own record label, put it out, put anything that I ever do now out on my own label, and just not being waiting for people to ring you back or waiting to answer this email here and there, whatever. And thankfully, like the first album, and Jerry Anderson was such a godsend to us, because he loved it. He loved the album, and he played away at it, and that just kind of got us loads of sales, got us loads of great gigs as well. Because
that Jerry Anderson, fantastic broadcaster, and a great advocate for people just coming in that wouldn't have the big major thing behind them. And you mentioned Junior Johnson earlier on. Junior was the same. And from getting them plays, did that get you in then to radio stations to beat out the odd song, and all of a sudden you became this person that they would call on and come in, and every release you had was Jerry there for you?
He was there. That's what I'm saying. And I remember we booked a gig in the Black Box, and it was the first time we ever kind of really played. We played Belfast a couple of times, but this is us putting on our own show. And
it was a big show.
It was a kind of leap of faith. And I phoned Jerry and I said, Jerry, I think we sold I think there was about 12 tickets sold, but it was a few weeks away. And I says, any chance of us going on? We've booked a Black Box and for Friday or whatever. And he says, look, come on the show, do a live set. He says, if you're shite, nobody will come. He says, but if you're good, you'll sell out. And we ended up and did the live set that day, and that night we sold out.
So it showed you the power of radio was still there.
Power of Jerry Anderson.
And power of Jerry, and a popular show, and someone that was a great advocate for bands going in and independent bands. And you also now then, by what I should have said was that you're a great influence for the younger musicians out there. Like, because in the early days, you were a Derry City man, Craig, but you and Diane moved to Limavady.
Yeah.
And you started doing nights in the Alexander Arms.
That's right.
Because I was up at one night, and where you got other musicians from Limavady and the surrounding areas, Given, wherever, it didn't really matter to you where they came from. And where they started to have an opportunity to come up and try their music, and you were a great advocate of the band Furlough.
Furlough, yeah.
And who then...
If only they were still going now with that name. Nobody knew what Furlough was before. Now everybody knows what Furlough is.
They should have re-released their music.
Exactly.
Well, just for people out there, the band is Furlough. They're from Limavady.
But I found out, because working in Extravision in Limavady, you're in a great position, because you get to know a lot of people really quickly.
Yeah,
because they're all customers. And then, so I kind of found out that there was loads of young musicians and kind of people that trying to form bands and whatever, but there was nowhere for them to play. There was nowhere to go, so it was just a matter of case of Donald would have come in the shop, and he owned the Alexander Arms, and I'd be like, "Do you ever put music nights on there, Donald?" And he'd be like, "No." He says, "I've got a cellar it's never used, if you want to go for it, no bother." And then just get the word out and get people together. And he was happy because he was getting people coming on the bar, and younger people.
But you brought something new to Limavady, a new scene, and it was good. And there was different ones at the time round. Rennie Boy Sleep, God rest him, and a great artist. So there was lots of people in and about. And so you sort of then went from your first album, which I should say. You have a lot of backing singing, a lot of is that going back to really earlier on in our chat about the the early Motown and all the songs, and folk and all the different music you were listening to, John Prine, Creedence and all that, and a lot of 60s and 70s stuff. You brought that into your music then, and when you're with the band, the Happy Enchiladas.
Well, it all comes out subconsciously.
Yeah.
When I never sit down and think I'm going to write a Motown song. Sometimes I'll just be playing things, and then when I'm halfway through writing a song, I'll start hearing instrumentation. I'll start hearing, and I'd 4 on the floor would be good there, or that kind of, and I speak, and then thinking what Johnny would be doing in the bass or what, you know what I mean? So it's that's when it all starts to kind of form a picture halfway through the writing process, and it is a mix match of kind of different genres of kind of music, the music that I write, the music we do. Like I've kind of settled down now, and I think I've kind of settled down on the kind of older kind of folk country kind of.
So vibe. Do you think that because this last while you released your solo album, Gatekeeper.
Gate Fever,
sorry, and that's because we're all locked up here. I just
Gatekeeper.
So how do you feel then coming out then as a solo artist? Because you seem to yet again that was picked up on, and a lot of songs that sort of you were letting back to when you were younger, your home, your family, and all that. There, how did it feel then? 1 minute you're with the whole doo-wop, everybody's doing their bit and everybody's getting into it, and then all of a sudden you're just on your own, as you were earlier on, the few tunes you played. What did you feel about that then? Because I know that you would have probably early on days after the course of Diane, you were playing a few tunes on your own, and then all of a sudden you're on your own again. Is that something you like doing? more than the whole band? Not as many people to...
Given the choice, it's gigging anyway, live, like I'd rather be playing with a band. A full band. Yeah. But that album, it came out of, I think it was born out of frustration and just, I think we kind of had a brick wall. The band had a brick wall, I think, and then people were in other bands. So I'd be maybe booking a gig, and then everybody can do it except one person. You know what I mean? Or somebody else couldn't do an hour date or thing. And I kind of thought, right. And then I had a guitar, and Paul Casey was going to buy me a guitar, and I says, right. So instead of buying it, just give me studio time, and let's just work on something. Let's do something together, and it was mad. That album was recorded, mixed and mastered in 6 days.
There you go.
And like 6 days, it took us 6 days to do the backing vocals with the Happy Enchiladas, you know what I mean? Alone, like, so. And it was
because there's so many different parts to put together, Paddy, isn't there?
Well, that's the thing. We were using the studio as rehearsal time. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we were like, it was all on the clock, like, and we were trying out these harmonies. And
then you nearly rush, and then you maybe miss things.
So this here was just like, these are just, their songs, half of the songs, I tried with the band and they didn't work anyway because they were kind of just, but slow and kind of maudlin. But they kind of just seemed to work in that kind of acoustic vibe, and we put about Nicky Scott come in, did about a double bass, and Liam Bradley, and just people really, that Paul worked with, and he works with, and he kind of knows
top players, aren't they?
You know what I mean? Just real kind of session heads that kind of just get it, like, and they play for the song. Yeah, you know what I mean?
And you could tell that on the album that they were playing. And so, see, even then with that album coming out, you then went over to Glastonbury and played on your own. Well, Diane was with you, and you headed out on your camper van.
Yes.
What was the soundtrack on? Was it on?
There was a lot of Springsteen. There was a bit of Cashier Number 9. There was a bit of
because I seen wee videos. That's right.
And then Sunshine and Leaf, the Proclaimers. That was that's our big song that we love to sing along to in the van.
Do you want to have a wee line of it? I bet there's a wee bird cage out the back there. Might do a line too there.
We drove from Derry or from Limavady to Dublin, got the ferry to Wales, down through Wales and across to Glasgowbury, and the reverse gear didn't work in the van. No reverse gear.
No way.
No. And so every time we had holiday services, Diana had to do like a lip to get back out again.
Was it like just keep going round? It's like having to go around the motorway twice just to get off it.
And then we broke out on the way back. The water cooler went. And we got that. It was hilarious.
But when you arrive, it doesn't matter what happens. When you go to a festival, once you arrive, the feeling, and I know that it was muddy. Well,
no, that year was gorgeous.
That was a good
2017.
year.
It was beautiful.
You went a muddy year and you went a dry year.
I went to 2011 was the muddy year, and then 2017 was the nice year.
The Ballybrag stage is where you played.
Yeah.
Just for people out there. The Ballybrag stage, do you want to explain what it's all about and what the ethos is and the people that play it?
Well, it's the left field stage, and it's basically kind of mixing pop and politics. They've got bands and acts on that are doing kind of stuff that's social commentary, and then they've got speakers on and stuff like that. So there could be any. There was I think like 2017. There was the Black Lives Matter. We're there in 2017, and they're doing the talks. It's one of them places you can kind of come to chill out, get a bit of politics, hear some kind of music that'll make you think as well as dance, and it's just a lovely vibe. It's just a lovely place to be. The backstage area is just kind of chilled out, and everybody's kind of. It doesn't feel kind of like all these people are working at this festival and they must get this thing. Everything's just done at a nice kind of slow pace. And
that's because the pros at it. They make it look that way.
Exactly, and it's kind of where all the kind of workers that would come to chill out and stuff. Like Michael Eavis jumped the fence and just came out of nowhere over.
He broke onto his own festival.
Over this fence.
Did he break onto his own festival?
He just came over this fence, and I was sitting there, and I was just sitting chatting, and he kind of had a cup of tea and whatever, and then he jumped over the fence and away he went again, that kind of thing. So it's one of them. It's just it's a nice vibe, and we were just so lucky to be there. I love playing it, and the Wood Burning Savages played it then the following year. They played left field as well.
Brilliant.
So.
And that's
And they had a ball too. They loved it.
another band that you're a great advocate of since you were really young, Paddy, Paul Connolly especially, right from the early days.
Oh, I from the queue and
from
amazing.
the queue, and so
and like yourself too. The queue, sir.
Well, and your second album, Times of Transition. Did you feel you were just whipping off the wings and taking a new fly out, or what was the crack?
That was the album that I kind of think that's the album that I think what defines us as a band. I think it's the best songs are on that album, and just the best feeling with a good bit of crack making it.
Yeah, and was it a harder album to do than the first? Or?
No, definitely not.
Do you think everybody in the band got more confidence in going into the studio and stuff like that?
We've been playing together, we've been playing live together, and we were playing the songs that we recorded, so we knew exactly when we had done the record, this is how this song's going to sound. So we were able to get the bones down straight away and then have a bit of fun then, adding the kind of the bells and whistles and stuff.
Well, I mean, like your creative juices were flying that time, because it didn't take long after that your third album came out.
Yeah.
And then I suppose the timeline for your solo album. But what's the sort of thinking, when will the next Happy for the people out there, just for the, I'm aware, but where did the band's name come from? The Happy Enchiladas, just for people out there that mightn't know and be listening to yourself and wondering where the name came out of.
Well, it's a Mondegreen.
Well, could I just say, that sounds like a posh man that owns Viscount Montagu.
Well, you could be right, because we're here.
Viscount Montagu.
I'm not sure, right? But there's an American poet writing her memoirs, and she was recounting a poem that her mother used to read to them when they were young, and it went something like this: They killed the bonny Prince of Earl and Lady Mondegreen. But when she researched the poem, it was laid him on the green, not Lady Mondegreen. And she was like, so what's the name for this kind of misheard lyric or misheard? And there was no word in the English language. So she put forward Mondegreen for a misheard lyric. And that's why they're called Mondegreens, after Lady Mondegreen. There you go.
So she's a lady.
So the Happy Enchiladas comes from a misheard lyric from a John Prine song. He was playing this concert one time, and this woman kept shouting out to him, "Sing the song about the Happy Enchilada." And he was like, "No, I don't. You get me confused with Jimmy Buffett. I don't write songs about food." And he says, "Look, just tell me what is it?" He goes, "It's a Happy Enchilada, and you think you're going to drown." But the line in the song is it's a half an inch of water, and you think you're going to drown.
It's the people's perception then of what.
So
that's like the people running around for years. I've done it myself, singing the wrong lyric.
Yeah.
And then somebody correcting them and telling them the right lyric.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't feel bad, Paddy, because
do you know they were going to ban Jimi Hendrix? The "Excuse Me While I Kiss the Sky." They thought he was singing "Excuse Me While I Kiss This Guy." And they were like, "We can't be having that on the BBC.
We weren't ready for that to happen, Patrick. Why do these things happen?
Jimi Hendrix kissing guys.
Take me over to the news.
Not on my watch.
Edmund Fitzroy for the news. Today at BBC, Edmund Fitzroy, the news. Patrick, would you tell us about the scandalous thing?
They banned, what do you call it, the Kingsmen, Louis.
Whoa. That's
and he goes, "My baby, we love," and he starts talking gibberish. And you don't know what he's saying. I don't think he knows what he's saying. But they banned that song because they just didn't understand what he was saying. They said, if we don't understand what he's saying, then it must be bad. You know what I mean?
Well, tell me this. So you then, your third album came out, right? Which the name has just left me now.
Laughter and Love.
Laughter and Love. And that's a lot. Like, I'm sure you're proud to think that you were with the Binlids and the whole tribe sings, and then you had a wee, I think listening, the course that Diane run was, as you say,
that and leading on to Glasgowbury
and that's brilliant. And like to have 3 albums out and a solo album, I'm sure you feel really good about that. And because
I went self-employed in 2011. I left my job and I was just it was another leap of faith. Yeah. And I'm thinking, can I do this? Can I become a self-employed musician or even a self-employed creative in some kind of way?
Yeah.
And that's 10 years now that I've been self-employed. this year.
And that's worth a party.
Yeah.
And if we could have a party, we'd have a party.
Oh, I'll have a party, don't you worry.
Children, we can't even hug now. We have to stand distance hugs. Well, see there now at the minute where we're at, and like you have been like flat out online, and you've collaborated tuning with Junior.
Yep.
And you done the wee hopper one, the bike one.
Oh, the Tomahawk. Tomahawk song.
Deadly song. I seen the Tomahawk. I used to. I had the grifter. I had the mini grifter.
Oh, like a striker?
Striker.
Aye.
And
I have to admit, that was a hell of a bike, yeah.
Well,
that was a rhyme in my song.
Deadly. There you go. And you had it, I knew
My
that.
older brother had a striker. I had to admit, it was a hell of a bike, yeah.
It was a deadly biker. And the only thing was you had to travel twice the speed to keep up with somebody with a bigger wheel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how is that all, like the tune you done with Junior, is that something you would think about doing? Because I found your two voices together, it was really sounded really good.
I love that. I love that idea of collaborating with people, and I've done a few. Like I did one with Gemma.
Yeah,
It was an hour thing. Remember that it was yourselves in the blast furnace.
Yeah,
and that was. You wouldn't believe the amount of people even now say to me about that song.
There you go.
About how even now to this day, like how much they love that song, like
there
the
you go.
country, and then there's a couple of other people now at the minute, especially through lockdown, kind of getting a wee email here and there, a wee message. Do you fancy doing a Zoom and see if we can come up with something? So it's something that I would like to do is a collaboration album.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Or
that'd
even
be really
have
cool.
an album with a few collaborations on it.
Yeah.
And
Who are you thinking about putting on?
I was thinking with Paul Hanley.
Yeah.
From the Wood Burning Savages. I have an idea for one that I think would be really good with him.
Yeah.
And me and Sean Dunn from No Oil Paintings have had a wee Zoom with him a few weeks ago, and we had a wee chat and
That'd be
a wee
interesting.
sing song.
Yeah.
So I think we come up with the bones or something. Kind of
Deadly.
really nice. So who would I don't really know. I think it would just be open to anybody.
Yeah.
Really, like if you have an idea and you think
It would work.
we might
Would it
make a
all
nice
be
song
male or
together.
would it be females?
No.
Yeah.
Female as well. Like
Yeah.
I would like I'm a big fan of Ro. I think she's brilliant. Like
Yeah.
I think Russian's an amazing songwriter and just great performer. Like and there's some brilliant young and older kind of female artists out there. Like and that's the whole thing I can never understand is somebody said to me, what advice would you give for up and coming artists? And I always say, I've been up and coming for 40 years. You know what I mean? Give me advice.
Because you're always, you're always moving.
And I especially love the idea of people that used to play when they were younger, and then, for whatever reasons, had a family, got a job, whatever, just give it up. Like, but there's an old guitar lying somewhere, just needs a new set of strings on it. I love that idea of them as picking up the guitar again and kind of giving it a go and seeing what happens, because it's one of them. It's a great pastime. It's a great way to spend a few hours just sitting strumming a guitar. Because
there's something to be said in that, where just people get together and just have a wee session. There's no plan at the end of it. It's just getting involved again and singing, and it's a good thing. Like even for singing out live again, and like I suppose we are all where we are, and hopefully we're at some kind of stage where there's some kind of movement. Mm-hmm. Would you have plans to go out, live again? Are you thinking about it, or do you think it's going to be a case of, like we were saying earlier on, about people having to get confident to go back out again? When there's somebody over here just wants to come straight into the building straight away. And what's your feelings in that, Paddy?
I'm kind of a bit mixed on it. Obviously, I would love to go out and part of me wants to go out and play a festival, play a big festival with loads of people there, and then enjoy the festival myself. And then part of me kind of thinks, well, you're 50 now, like maybe it's time.
You're a young man.
We kind of show.
I've got a few strides on you,
I was thinking maybe we show here and there, but just kind of take it easy. I don't know. I've always kind of been good in my own company. I've always been, I kind of live in my head most of the time anyway, like, so I could go probably for days and weeks and months just inside my own head, like,
your
You know
own
what I
wee
mean?
sort of world of
Aye,
dramas. And
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no, there's, and I suppose.
Are you confident to go out again? You know what I mean? I don't mean that.
Aye,
Like,
I know
you
what you mean now.
do you know, all around? Because, like, you're saying there, you know, like, you might do, and then, you know, it's all right to say you mightn't, and because there's going to be, like I was talking to someone recently, and well, two people. One of them was actually the person that said to me that used to sitting in now actually shocked me. With the other person, they would be the type of person would have been hard enough to get out. And they're saying, when's your next night, or when's the next comedy, or the next acoustic night? And there's other people saying that. But I'm a believer that people have to trust venues again, Paddy, and feel safe in them.
And trust each other as well. That's the other thing. Like, you know,
and maybe
you're going to a room full of strangers.
Yeah.
Or not even strangers, people you haven't seen in a year.
Yeah, and they're the conversation too. You know, maybe it has to come back and a bit of gaping, you know, and bring it all out. You also, you and Diane, you like to go on wee excursions and all in your van, you know, and your dog, your puppy,
Yeah, wee
Murphy, and part of your family, and you go out and about and all the different sort of places and different things because you love being out in open air. Like you sung a song earlier on, just it's about what's going on up in a close area to ourselves now, all about mining as such.
Yeah, the gold mine.
And like you're singing the right words and it's saying how it should look and the way it should look, and I suppose sometimes ordinary people trying to stop something that's maybe going to become extraordinary, if that's the right thing to say, if it kind of goes forward. You've always kind of your heart's always been in things like, right, this is definitely a cause, and you can hear it in the tune. It should be the anthem. If it's not, you know. What's your feelings and all that for the people living around that area, and for them? I know I've talked to them as individuals, and I know people from up there, and it's kind of a hard one, isn't it?
It's desperate, you know, and there's, like where we live, a couple of fields away now from where we are, they're threatening to build this big pig factory. Like, no, and it's just going to be completely.
And how's your community feling about that? That's just brought home to you with them people are feeling up
exactly.
In that.
You know what I mean? And the people and up Greencastle, and you know, it just shows you how much people appreciate that, having them mountains they walk on, having that fresh air. You know, and having not only for themselves but for their grandchildren and their grandchildren,
the next generation,
something that should be something that's it really annoys me because it's like it's common sense. Yeah. You look after. No, you don't shit the bed and then lie in it. Like you know what I mean. Yeah. You look after the place that nurtures you in nature and keeps you breathing.
And ordinary rural people, they're not adapted for this massive machine to just land on via PR and via the amount of money they have and how they move themselves around a community and how they take this organisation and then really put them that they're up against this organisation.
And then they're putting families against each other. You know what I mean?
And it's just
all from, like, there's something like, was it £30 billion worth of gold in the vaults in London Bank that's just sitting there, not even being used, and yet they want to dig up more.
Yeah, it's just it's a greed machine.
It is, yeah.
And what we would say in this podcast to them good people who live there, we hope it all works out and to the best of
the protectors.
And community is very important. And it's always been important to you and Diana.
And it's one of the things that brings people together. It brings people that probably don't get along politically. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're kind of as far removed as you can get, but they've got that one common cause. And if you've one common cause, there's that thing where you might have something else in common as well. Nature is far more powerful than any political party. Exactly. It always will be. And because it's, and I think, so talking about Greencastle and all, like I was up the mountain this morning on a walk myself, and I was hearing a lot of bird sounds, you know, the different, you told me earlier on I heard a buzzard. And, I imagined it was a golden eagle. Eagle's rock. I'm just going to cruise down. An eagle with a camera on it. You know, the first sort of aerodynamic camera in the sky stuck to an eagle. But you've been taking some beautiful pictures, and
of different birds, and I know that I watched a thing one time, I think it was last year, and they were on about people. I don't know, it was like a wildlife country something type thing, but you had a log of a certain type of bird landed in your garden, and it was a way of getting this synopsis of the whole of the UK and over in Ireland all together, and seeing what was plentiful and what was down and what was up. How did you come about? Was it a case of just the famous one, I'm hanging some nuts and I just want to meditate by watching who comes in? You know, because people do just hang them and just meditate. I think it's a robin redbreast, I'm not sure. I think it's a such and such, I'm not sure. So if you heard a bird sound, say it was a robin redbreast now, would you identify it straight away, or does that take time?
Some of the sounds I can. But here, how did that happen was I always kind of like to snap and whatever and take photographs. But when we were playing a gig over in Glossop, and we went to this RSPB reserve, and Dan bought me an RSP guide to British birds, and I remember.
When was this, Paddy?
This was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember photographing this bird in the garden and thinking, what's that there, whatever, and then looked it up in the book, and it was a chaffinch, a male chaffinch. So I went, just put a wee tick on it and put the date and wrote where it was. Garden, and then that kicked it off. And every time then I found a new bird, I would go to the book, look it up, and it gave me the same, especially over lockdown, it gave me the same buzz of playing music, of playing a gig.
Fine, no,
it's like
discovering a new album, a new bird.
Discovered there's a family of tree sparrows. I always kind of knew we had sparrows, but I didn't know there's house sparrows and tree sparrows, and that tree sparrows are actually on the red list. So they're rare birds. And they live in our backyard, and they probably lived there forever, and I didn't even know.
That's brilliant.
You know what I mean? So it's like, me getting that wee buzz, going, and
do you have a wee voice? When you see a bird, you're like, oh, Diane, I've just seen a smoking blackbird flying down. I can't believe it. Dad, come quick, would you? Jesus Christ, Dad, quick. Oh, for fuck's sake, it's gone.
We got the goldfinches, the wee goldfinches that are coming the thing, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, sir. She thought there was somebody breaking up.
She thought you were in a fucking cardiac. Then she just said, what is it, robin redbreast?
But I suppose if you're used to that kind of buzz from playing gigs, you need someone to replace it. And this did that, and bacon as well. Like if I put someone on the oven and it comes out and it looks well and it tastes well, I get that buzz.
See, this lockdown, right? So people have been flat out baking. Yeah. You've done a lot of baking too.
Aye.
And like Marty McGill's baking away now.
Oh, I don't know what
he's knocking out all these King Wine pies
YouTube
and all.
channel he's watching.
I don't know what. But
I think it's all Lisa.
Do you think so?
Marty's just taking the credit.
We need to. Like I told him, like I sent a pigeon up for a slice of one of his cakes, and he must have killed it because it didn't come back, Paddy. You know. So
I think he's getting them out of books. He's taking photographs from books and putting them up.
They look pretty good pictures, don't they?
Because I don't see any photographs of him actually eating any. Oh. So I think McGill were on the.
We have sussed you out. What you're doing is you've got a green screen and you're putting on out plain score.
They're all plastic. He's buying them plastic ones. I know. Know what they do in the TV programs? Put all the plastic ones out. Or in the front, and you go to France.
The dummy ones. The dummy ones, you mean? Aye. They go out the front and then the real ones.
He's buying all them off eBay because all the cafes are shut in Paris.
Because you like to cook bread and all. You got a bread...
Got a bread machine now. Thanks to Junior Johnson. He suggested we should get a bread machine. Haven't bought a loaf in over a year.
So you haven't bought a loaf?
Just baking our own bread.
Brilliant.
Put it on at night. You do an overnight cycle and you get up in the morning, fresh bread.
Lethal.
Unbelievable.
And so do you make it the healthy stuff?
I got this lovely flour, this 3-seeded malt flour. It's lovely.
Aye. Healthy stuff.
Oh, aye.
And what will you slap on it? A bit of marmalade?
No, a bit of butter, maybe a bit of jam, who knows.
I'm frothing the lip here, Paddy, at the minute. I'm frothing. And you know, like, I would just say to you, the pictures you're taking are really, really good. And they look the part. And I don't know if
I'm getting better. I know I'm getting better.
No, they're really good.
I
don't know if you thought about putting out a wee Christmas sort of set list, of all the birds.
A wee calendar or something?
A wee calendar or something.
Could be given, that's what I could be given for presents this year.
It could be really cool.
It
could be really cool because, as I say, because any of the ones I see up online, they look class. You know what I mean? And you have a polytunnel now as well.
Yeah, we have a polytunnel, and we're.
Tell me about the polytunnel. Do you dig underground? Do you have a wee secret place where you go under at the back door down? We're down now, and we're going to dig through, and then you could pop up the polytunnel. Like you don't do that, or you just go straight down.
That's actually a really good idea.
I think that'd be cool. You know, like you just go
Like an underground passage.
Underground passage, and just come up with the carrots, or oh shit, I've just moved the onions, or I've just moved the tomatoes. What are you going to grow on it, Paddy?
No, what's the Great Escape? What was the theme tune?
Shake it out, Paddy. Shake the dust out. And sorry there. And so, what's the plans of the polytunnel? I know it's down to the animals. It's big plans, you know what I mean?
They grow our veg, become really self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And all our own spuds and our cabbages and carrots and things. And then hopefully grow enough that we can put a wee table out, and the neighbours, if they're walking past, can
that go back to the soup one again.
Exactly, stone soup.
Yeah, I'll bring a bit of that, and you bring a bit of that.
Exactly.
And bring a bit
and take a wee.
Well, have you done any training in that, or is that something? Because there was a polytunnel just up the road. It's actually over there now.
There's one getting built there.
It was up there, but they moved down there, and.
We did a wee.
But they were flat out
Butler, we did a wee online class. No, we did it way before Christmas. So I'm thinking we need to definitely do a refresher, because all the stuff's the soil and the gravel and all's coming now in the next week or two. So we need to do a wee refresher.
But this is a good time of the year to be doing it, isn't it, Paddy? Because it's all
Well, there's stuff you can put on all year round.
Yeah.
And things like that. But it's another thing I'm going to have to get my head around. Well, both of us are. We're going to have to really kind of.
So who would have the green fingers? Would it be you or Diana?
Diana would have the
green fingers. She'd be able to tell us exactly what seeds need planted, what time of the year, when they need watered, when they need a wee prayer, when they need a wee song, a wee bit of loving.
She's taking the lead. She's taking the lead on this one.
Because
I'm just going to be a hired hand.
Them Brussels sprouts need good loving, and them carrots need good loving.
But imagine picking your own sprouts for your Christmas dinner.
I know.
Know what I mean?
I know. And you could set a craze, because maybe all your neighbours will start. Before you know it, you'll have tunnels underneath. You can go up to Ivers and Nick has spuds. This is better than yours.
Somebody get a few chickens in them. You know what I mean?
Paddy, I could go on all night to you, and I don't even know if I've been on, how long I've been on, and I don't even know if I've missed anything, but I'll check now. And I want to just check.
You'll be cutting all this out, I would say, anyway.
There's one I missed there. Your dad was a big James Cagney fan.
Yeah.
And in one of your tunes, his famous line, would you want to explain about that song?
Say?
Yeah.
Aye. Well, that's from Angels with Dirty Faces.
Yeah. A movie?
Yep.
1958.
Was it?
Well, I don't know.
I thought it was 49.
Oh, is it?
It was Angels with Dirty Faces. Shake Hands with the Devil.
Maybe
58.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But anyway, it was my dad's favourite film. He loved all Cagney films, but that was the one. And the thing about Cagney was he'd always have a gimmick in every film. The kind of that he would come up with himself. It could be a lump, or it could be just some kind of wee movement, or a saying. And that was the saying to give that character. So when he says, "What do you hear? What do you say?" He was in the character. He was the character, and that was his wee kind of cue. And so my dad would have says it as well. Like, I'm saying all them, but when they were young, growing up, they were thinking they were Cagney. What do you hear? What do you say? What do you hear? What do you say? And then I was writing a song about him, and it just came to me in the chorus. I was just writing the chorus, and then that line just came out. I just seen him, and I heard him saying it, and it was kind of nice wee angle. They kind of talk about him, talk about his life and the stuff he loved doing.
Beautiful song.
It's a nice.
And
proud of it.
From your first album.
From the first album. Yeah.
And just on all your music and stuff, Paddy, for people out there listening, where can they get it and download it and listen and just?
Oh, it's there. Involved? It's on. It's if you want to buy it and give me some money, it's on paddynash.com.
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 If you want to give the man some money,
listen to it, whatever. It's on Spotify or whatever. It's on YouTube. It's on. It's the thing about now is the music industry is dead now. Anyway, we don't sell CDs anymore.
What do you think? What do you think the new model is? Is it working and then doing music?
It's not working. Well,
like you have a toolbox.
Yeah.
You have a pretty creative toolbox. You have different things going on, and and all the different parts, and you're keeping yourself sustainable, being self-employed in them. What advice would you give to people out there now being creative? Because after this whole lockdown thing, there seems to be a whole. There's even debates out there that the whole thing could come back different or a better shape or a different way. I don't know. What did you think?
Well, I hope so. I just think the way the music industry is now is it's designed. It's designed for most musicians. They fail, and the reason I say that is because see if you have money, see if you're rich, you can buy yourself a career now. You can buy yourself onto a big tour. You can buy yourself onto a TV show. You can buy yourself onto the radio. Under the big radio shows, if you have money.
So it's
not about quality. Like it's not about quality. Like see if David Bowie was starting out now, he'd struggle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So and it's all to do with middlemen, pluggers and whatever, like, and people that have connections here and there. And I don't know, there's probably brown envelopes going left, right.
So
and
you're
centre
saying it's
everywhere.
a team of people.
Yeah. And they're all there, they block you, they take more money off you until you can try and get where you need to.
Yeah.
You need to get. And if it's not that, it's like you look at Spotify, and what happened with Spotify was they were taking all the money, and the labels were going, well, you can't be doing this, you can't be taking all the money. And then Spotify was, well, just buy shares. And that's what they did. All the major labels just bought shares in Spotify. So they're getting all the money, but the artists aren't getting money. Like.
So their gravy train's still thick.
Right. And you seen it yourself now, like in the with lockdown, when artists weren't touring, they started paying a bit more attention to their royalty checks, and they started saying, well, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
You've been quite lucky, Paddy, with the amount of plays you get. Like you were talking to me one time about you're happy with the royalties coming back and all. But that's...
Well, that even them now, they've kind of dried up. And a lot of musicians now will tell you that because there's not as many ads on radio shows anymore. That whole royalty's kind of drying up now as well.
Yeah. So where do you think it stands in?
I think if you're a young artist and you're a young songwriter and you're serious about your craft, then without the live shows, unless you get your song onto a Netflix film or show or whatever, like without that live shows, they build relationships and build a fan base, and people that will, all right, they might listen to your music for free, but they might buy a mug off you or buy a T-shirt or buy whatever, you know what I mean, and support you that way. Yeah,
and if you found that with the whole lockdown and all in the industry, have you found that people have been supporting artists more, or you as an individual, have you noticed it more that people were supporting you in abstract ways like that, buying the mug or the T-shirt? Or
I don't have any mugs or anything.
You left them all here and I've drunk tea flat out of them. They're downstairs and they're all mugged out. I have a couple flat out.
The thing was, I'm lucky enough that I know that it kind of work in all our areas.
And I suppose that's what I'm trying to ask you.
What we have tried to do is kind of help knowing like our artists out there that this is their only income, like that they need to be touring or they need to be gigging, and maybe us trying to help them. Yeah. And it's
you and Deanne have been great supporters. Look out there for people funded and all different things. You would.
Well, we try. Like if we, and there's people we love. We love their music. We love what they do and how they go about it. And if you can support people like that in any way, then
that's a good thing.
Then we try and do it.
Yeah.
But as for myself, no, I'm going to keep making music because that's what I'm compelled to do. Yeah. Like it's one of them things where I can't not do it.
Yeah.
But as far as having these ambitions of bringing out a new album that's going to all of a sudden Bob Harris is going to have it as his album of the week, like no, it's not going to happen. Yeah. It'll happen if I pay a couple of £1,000 to some plugger that might.
But you do get plays. You get played like.
Oh, I know. Look, here's the thing about. If it wasn't for like Ralph McLean, Lynette Faye, Eve Blair and Radio Ulster, like they've been brilliant for plays for me personally, and Highland Radio, and I've done well. I do well in kind of local radio, but every time I try to break in the art, trying to get on RT or trying to get on Radio 2, because I know some of like the new song, Rapture song, I think it's got Radio 2 written all over it. But no.
But it could happen.
I don't think it will. I don't think it'll happen if I give somebody 10 grand. Then it can happen. Yeah, it'll happen.
Yeah.
But I can't see it. I couldn't see it happening any other way.
Yeah, that's really that's mad there, you know, because I would have thought that still the power of a good song should be played, you know, but then that's a different world I don't know. But and I suppose
I always thought, for me, and I always say it, the best song that's ever come out of Ireland is Gold Star, Cashier Number 9. How that song wasn't a global success is beyond me. Like, if it's about the power of song, then that's a tune. Like,
yeah,
that's a tune that's like, it sits anywhere.
Yeah.
You can put any song on, any great song on before it or great song after it, and it holds its own.
Definitely,
against them.
yeah.
And I don't understand how it didn't.
And they had a few belters tunes.
Yeah, they did. They did. You know what I mean?
Jackie Sean was a belter. And well, I suppose that's just how things are structured. But where you are and your journey has been good for you.
Aye.
And happy. And as I say, just for people out there wanting to start, that they can, there's different angles for different people. And I suppose it's important too, Paddy, to know that by doing music and writing songs, even at a certain age, will hold you in good stead in the future at other things and other works of life.
For definite, that's the thing. If you can get that, you've developed that craft, even the confidence to sing a song in front of somebody.
Yeah.
Then who knows? You may be going for an interview a couple of years' time.
So you're not.
You know what I mean?
You're more.
You can say how long I've sat and sang in front of 50 people.
Yeah.
These 3 people aren't going to.
They're not going to buzz me out.
Exactly.
Well, not buzz them out.
Yeah.
Well, Paddy, as in Paddy Nash, as in Paddy is the happiest enchilada I've ever met in my life. Like, if there was a happier enchilada, I haven't met them. You have been a great guest, and you done a few tunes earlier on, Paddy, which will go out as well, along with us. And thanks very much for coming down.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be putting on jeans again.
And are they the same ones? Because watch out, Diane, if they are.
They still fit it in a way.
Well, that's good. It's still there, then it's not dropping. Going east, west, north, and south. So you've been a fantastic guest. And look, when you're coming out with maybe, you know, new stuff or new music and you want to come down and have a wee short chat about it, you're most welcome. It's been brilliant having you on, old friend, and thanks for taking the time out. Thanks to Tierney and Nathan and Kaylene and Stella and Diane and Emer. You're all here tonight, and social distance corners. It's weird. It feels like, you know, being naughty in a school. You've got your wee corner and you're stuck up against the wall.
Stay there.
You know, it's okay, you can come out of the corner now. No, I can't, I have to wait. You know, I'm not even breathing at the minute. I just want to hear what Paddy's saying. I would have said a different answer there, Paddy. I know, Diana. No, don't analyse it the way home. Please do not do that. No, you are most welcome. And thanks for coming down. And hopefully, whenever things come back and maybe we get wee gigs on again, maybe you'll come down and do a full gig for us. You know what I mean? That would be brilliant.
Lovely.
So everybody out here, give Mr. Paddy Nash a big round of applause and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.